Yo, what's going on, Kicks Army? Today I'll be doing a Sharpie challenge on a pair of Chuck Taylor Highs, as well as talking about some blending tips and my thoughts on the 2018 GM survey for the NBA. Let's get it! Now, you guys already know that if you enjoy these daily sneaker drawing videos and basketball discussions, that you hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and bounce past that bell to get post notifications. More importantly, if you like the stencil that you see on the screen, or if you like any of the stencils that you see in any one of my videos, you can find all of them for free available on my website, KicksArt.com. That is your #1 source for free sneaker stencils, and the best part about it is, well, there's two best parts. A, everything is free, and B, if there's a stencil that you want to see added to the website that's not already available, you can send a request to the contact tab at the top of the page. I'm all about that excellent customer service. So checking through my emails, I saw that a few people have requested that I do a Sharpie challenge video. I did one in the past. It was I guess a candy cane NMDs. I kind of forgot what they called it, but it was definitely an NMD. And multiple times through the course of my videos, especially the how to draw videos, which we have a new one dropping tomorrow, and I also have a poll sometime in the early afternoon, so that way you guys can pick which sneaker you like to see for that video. I always mention that if you're really trying to ball on a budget and you want to get markers, but you don't have the budget to spend a lot of money on markers, like if you would spending on the Prismacolors or the Copics, that you guys can go ahead and get Sharpies, because they are pretty decent markers. If you go way back down my Instagram feed to the earlier sneaker drawings that I did, you'll see there's going to be like 80 or so posts where it's just the image of the sneaker, and for all those sneakers I only use Sharpies, and I actually had some pretty good results. Even though Sharpies don't really blend that well when you're trying to go from one color to another, in terms of blending within the color itself, they still have a pretty good look to them, and the color is very vibrant. As a matter of fact, that's one of the pros I would say to Sharpies, is that because of the nature of the kind of marker that it is, the color is very, very vibrant. Now, they don't have a big selection of color. That's one of the downfalls, and the fact that they can't really blend that well from one color to another. You can achieve that kind of success, but you have to make sure that when you're going from one color to another, it has to be within the color wheel. So you can't just go from a red to a blue. You have to go from a red to like a purple and then to a blue. You kind of have to blend it softer. You can't just go from one to another. But like I mentioned, if you're trying to have like a blue, like I'm doing with this drawing, so you're gonna see, first thing I do is I outline everything. I try to get whatever section I'm working on outlined, so that way it's very easy to stay within those lines, because, well, now I've already outlined everything. Then I'm going to give it that first initial layer, and especially with this color blue, it's your standard blue, it is pretty deep when you lay it on. Now, I've said this many times before in my drawings, if you guys are going to use markers, use the markers the right way. Don't waste the ink, color in the same direction, make it easier on yourselves. Because if you're just coloring randomly all around through a section, it's going to look messy, it's going to waste ink, and there's going to be certain spots in random areas that are going to be clumped up because you've already gone over the same section multiple times. And that just doesn't look good. Like, if we're going to be objective, especially when it comes to a sneaker, like, it doesn't look that convincing, it doesn't look that real. If you want to do that for your personal work, or if you're trying to get a specific effect going on a sneaker, that's fine. But if you want to try to be intentional, if you want to try to be clean, go in the same direction. Now, my strategy for blending has pretty much stayed consistent all the way through. I do one initial layer on a section, and then from there I start adding multiple layers that go from the top all the way down. So towards the top you might have 2 layers of the same color, but towards the bottom of that section, because light comes from the top, so we're trying to be real here, the bottom of that section might have 7 to 15 layers depending on how deep you need it to be. Because the Sharpies are very, very potent, because they're so strong, what I do is I lightly flick the marker up and down, so that way I kind of space them out a bit, so that way it's not just a block of color and you can still see that separation between the first and the second layer. I'm flicking the marker wherever I decide I want the blending to really start, and I'm spacing out the flicks so that way they're not right next to each other, so that way it slowly starts to degrade the color and it really gets that blending look going. And you're gonna see after multiple layers of doing this, it slowly starts to create that nice shading, and it really starts to get the blending going. And guys, you can do this with any Sharpie marker. And the benefit to having Sharpies is, especially with the more popular colors, so your blues, your reds, your greens, and stuff like that, they have it available in multiple sizes. So this is the traditional size that you're going to see for Sharpies. So aside from this size that I'm using, which is the traditional size, you also have the ultra fine Sharpie markers, and those are the really thin ones. Those are the ones that I initially used for a lot of the outlining in my initial drawings. And those are the markers that I highly recommend that you use if you don't have any other markers, if you don't want to get Micron markers and you just want to get some clean outlining. You can always use your pencil for that sort of thing, but if you're trying to get a really nice deep black outlining, you can always use the ultrafine Sharpies. They're relatively cheap, and I usually use the Micron markers because I prefer them. But guys, I'm telling you, for years, all I used for my outlining were the ultrafine Sharpies, and they work just fine. Now, those ultrafine Sharpies come in more colors than just black. If you go to like Walmart or wherever you get your markers from, or wherever retail store that you go to, you'll see that they usually have different packs of different Sharpies. They'll have packs of the regular sizes, and they'll have packs of the ultrafine sizes. And I'm positive you can also find them on eBay and Amazon. And actually what I'm going to do soon is, because a lot of people ask me where I get my supplies, I'm going to compile like a list of different markers that I've used in the past. That will be like online links, so whether it be Amazon, eBay, or whatever, I'm going to compile them into one little mini site. I believe the service is called Kit, so basically you'll click the link in that description for one of my videos or wherever. I guess I'll have it in all my videos, and pretty much it'll have a list of items that you can click on, and it'll take you to the link for that item, and it'll be recommendations, so that way it's very easy to see a bunch of different items that I've already found. Whenever that gets done, I'll make sure I let you guys know. I have a full list of things I gotta do for the channel, just things I have to do in general, so I'm kind of tackling these things one at a time. Guys, if you need tips in general for anything, whether it be drawing or just whatever that you need help with, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. So now talking about the 2019 GM survey. So I guess for like the past 17 years, they had the GMs from all the teams kind of get together, fill out a survey with a bunch of questions with the upcoming NBA season. And the reason why it's the GM survey and not the owner survey or the head coach survey is because the GM's job is to really understand what's going on with the fundamentals of how the teams are working, who's going to have the most success, how the players are in their respective team, who to look for. They really should know about the sport of basketball and the players in the NBA. They're also in a position of power when it comes to making a lot of these decisions for like trades and stuff like that, so they really should have an idea for what to expect from the upcoming NBA season when it comes to a lot of these different categories. Now, some of these categories are really no-brainers, so it's not like we're looking at these guys as prophets. So for example, for the first one is which team will win the 2019 NBA Finals, and 87% of the GMs said it would be the Golden State Warriors, and then we have Boston at 7%. So really, we're not really saying too much there, like kind of obvious, to be honest. What I do find a little bit interesting is over the past 3 years, the percentage that Golden State has had for winning the NBA Finals based on the GM's decisions has gone down over the past 3 seasons. 3 seasons ago, it was 97%. Last season, it was 93%. And this season, it's 87%. So it could be that the GMs are realizing, okay, the competition is actually getting pretty thick. We saw last season that the Houston Rockets were a Chris Paul hamstring injury away from beating the Golden State Warriors. And even though their roster is slightly different, they're still going to do a lot of work this season. Boston's obviously gotten much better, and a few other teams in the Western Conference do look a lot more interesting as well. But regardless, yeah, it looks like the Golden State Warriors on paper should be the champion holders at the end of the season, getting that glorious three-peat. Next question is, who will win the 2019 MVP? And obviously we know that they have decided with LeBron James with 30%. Kevin Durant actually got 27%. And to me, this is very interesting. In my personal opinion, the only way a player from the Warriors is going to get an MVP title is if they have another monumental regular season where they win like 74 games, right? They have to do amazing, because the fact is, everybody understands they have a lot of talent. They have 5 All-Stars, okay? When it comes to the end of the regular season and towards the playoffs, they're going to be starting 5 All-Stars. You can't give them too much credit unless they do something that's never been done before. And this, of course, throws away the notion that a few players get injured, so one player in particular has to carry everybody on their back, i.e. Kevin Durant. I'm not going to use that notion for this example, but I'm just saying, based on when we know what the Lakers have to deal with, LeBron James is the only all-star on the team. He just went to a team that only won like 37 games last season, so he's got a lot to work with. So by default, based on what he has to carry for the team and the expectations that team has for the following season, he most likely, assuming he does whatever he does, will win the MVP. The only way I don't see him win the MVP is that if he doesn't do what he did last year, which is kind of make sure everything is done through him and that he does whatever it takes to make sure the team has a lot of success, and he kind of takes a back seat this season, lets the other guys progress, lets the other guys make their mistakes, guides them, but isn't the one making sure that they win as many games as possible. But let's just be real for a quick second. I think he's gonna win the MVP, and if he actually does, yo, that GOAT conversation, that greatest of all time conversation, is getting narrower and narrower. That's all I'm saying, okay? That's all I'm saying. The only other thing I really want to point out with this survey, because the rest of it is pretty straightforward, they have a lot of random questions in there, but I do think this last one is very interesting. It is, what rule regarding play, draft lottery, playoff format, any rule in the NBA needs to change the most? We got the number one spot for that with 18% is playoff seeding that should be 1 through 16. Guys, I'm telling you this right now, you might already heard this before, it would not surprise me one bit if we see the playoff seeding change from what it is now to go to the 1 through 16 seeding within the next 3 years. I'm not even kidding. I would not be shocked at all if within 3 years, we could see in the first round the Golden State Warriors play like the Charlotte Hornets. I'm not even kidding. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoy these daily sneaker drawing videos, make sure you hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and bounce past that bell to get post notifications. Don't forget to visit KicksArt.com for all your stickers and needs. Guys, I have over 290 videos on the channel. You guys already know that I'm uploading daily sticker drawing videos, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Yay!